Good morning. Welcome to Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. That is John Cornell, better known as JC.
Yes, sir.
Shane Matthews
Here
here
we
on
go.
a Friday edition,
Big
and it is
Friday.
cold in Gainesville
Big
today.
Yeah.
We got a big show for you at 8:15. We're going to have John Hale from the Courier Journal in Lexington, Kentucky, talk real briefly about the big game in Rupp Arena between the Gators and the Cats.
Yep.
And then at 8:30, we're going to be joined by James Bates. And that should be quite a segment.
Oh, yeah. We'll look forward to hearing from him and Luther Ogle. That's who he is.
You think he's going to bring him out of retirement?
You think Luther Ogle will show up? That's his
Well,
Tennessee guy.
you know, here's the thing. Batesy he's out on assignment following his daughter around
Yeah,
there in Auburn, Alabama for the SEC swim meet.
Yeah.
So
It's great.
we'll get a live update of what's going on
Yeah,
there.
that'll be exciting. We'll hear from him. And then, of course, this weekend is a big weekend for those of us in a certain generation, of course, the 40th anniversary of the Miracle on Ice. One of the greatest sporting events of my lifetime, QB. You were
10.
much younger than I was. I was only 15. So,
Actually, if it happened a year ago today, or is it tomorrow?
well, it's February 22nd was when the game was played between the Soviet Union, the communists, and the United States of America. The game was in Lake Placid, New York. It was 40 years ago on February 22nd that the United States beat the Soviets 4-3. And to put it into context, if you can remember back in those days, and like I said, this is a story for a certain generation, one of the greatest sporting events of our lifetime, of course, Al Michaels.
Some say maybe the
Maybe
greatest.
the greatest ever. And Al Michaels was the announcer. And, you know, do you believe in miracles? Yes. And that was right as the game ended. And the amazing thing about it was this game was on tape delay. It was not shown live. They played the game earlier than it was shown. Roone Arledge and Bob Iger and those guys for ABC had to try to deal with the Soviets, and they wanted to play the game at a certain time so that people back home in Russia could watch it at 1 a.m. as opposed to 4 a.m. So long story short was that the Russians came into this game with professional players. These guys were 27 to 28 years old. They were listed as amateurs on the sheet as either students or soldiers, which basically meant that they were playing hockey as professionals for about 11 months out of the year. So we have a United States team that was miserable. They had lost 27 out of 28 times to the Russians, or 27 out of 29 times to the Russians. They were outscored by the Russians 175 to 44, I think, over the lifetime. And this guy named Herb Brooks, who was the coach, and there's a movie about him, was the leader of this team, and really this team had zero chances of beating this Russian team. It was one of I mean, there was no way that the United States was going to beat Russia. And if you have to remember, back in the 80s, we had cable TV, we did not have the internet, we did not have cellular technology.
Do we have Twitter?
We did not have Twitter. The USA Today was not even out there, okay? That wasn't even in publication at the time. So this was a thing that happened, and it was kind of a surprise because it didn't really spread across America the way it could today. And the setup for it was so, no chance, right? There's just no chance that they're going to win. I mean, back then the United States was a troubled country. We had the Iranian hostage crisis. We had I think the prime lending rate was 20%, 20%. There were gas lines. America was a mess. And so what this game did was bring a certain amount of pride to America after the team had won, and they won the game 4-3, and it just woke up the country in the sporting world, I think, and was one of the greatest Olympic events of all time, especially for the United States. And the amazing thing was, QB, that wasn't the gold medal game.
No, they played hang on.
You can tell me. You know who it is.
It was either Sweden or Finland, and I'm going to go Finland.
Right. It was Finland. You're exactly right. And they won that game on Sunday. The game against the Soviets was on a Friday night or Friday, and we watched it Friday night on tape delay. The Finland game was on Sunday.
So how many people you think in the Lake Placid area that were at the game live went to a payphone and called people
collect
wherever and said, we won?
Yeah, and nobody would believe it. And I don't know if they did that after the game, because the celebration was crazy. It was crazy. These kids, these were college kids. These were amateurs playing against 27 and 28-year-old professionals who had won something like 5 out of the last 6 Olympic gold medals. They were unbeatable. They hadn't lost since 1968, and this was in 1980. That's 12 years. And that then before that, they had won the previous 4 Olympics. So this was an amazing miracle. It really was a miracle. And the amazing thing is that, you know, during the Cold War, you know, it was truly a rivalry. It's the Soviets, the communists against the United States, 1980. And I'll just never forget it, because it was one of the things where Al Michael made his career with that. Do you believe in miracles? Yes. And I think it's one of the greatest stories of all time. And so this weekend, and specifically the 22nd, tomorrow, is the 40th anniversary. And I don't know, like I said, for those of a certain generation, this was one of the best stories of all time. And that team, I mean, it was a guy named Herb Brooks, who really had no fanfare whatsoever. In fact, he was such a hockey guy that after the hockey Olympics, and after that hockey team had finished playing in it, he basically ended up 2 weeks later in Switzerland coaching a club team. He just wanted to coach hockey. That's all he was interested in doing. He didn't go on a tour around the world or the country with a big trophy or anything like that. It kind of happened, and then then the Sports Illustrated came out, of course, and that was back in the day when Sports Illustrated had a real big, the cover of Sports Illustrated was a really big deal. And so, and not that it isn't today, but that was an amazing time, 1980. And that game and that win and winning the gold medal was one of the greatest Olympic accomplishments of all time.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Amateurs beating pros.
Again, if you want to text the program, 352-353-7465 at 8:15. We're going to have John Hale from the Courier-Journal in Lexington, Kentucky, talk briefly about the game tomorrow night, Gators and Wildcats in the Rupp Arena. Also, don't forget 3-game series down in Miami, supposedly number 1 versus number 2.
I can't wait for that.
I don't think it's on TV.
How is that possible?
I have no idea. So if anyone's listening, maybe Taylor, you can Google it, but I don't think that series is on TV.
Well, you're going to have Steve on next week,
You got to tune in and listen on your radio, JC.
Well, look, I'm all for it. I'm an old radio guy, man. That kind of lets you think about what's happening in your mind and make your own pictures as you listen to the voices.
Rick says on Facebook Live, JC, what is Nash?
Nash is Nashville.
Nashville.
So I've got 2 of my favorite towns on today representing the show. Dallas is certainly one of my favorite towns in the Midwest, in Texas, Southwest.
JC, you have a lot of hoodies for a guy that lives in Florida.
Well, it's cold outside.
Well, it is today, but normally it's not.
No, that's true.
But you have multiple hoodies.
I'm a hoodie guy, and Nashville is one of our favorite towns. You love it. You know, the SEC basketball tournament is in Nashville. Mm-hmm. Think about how much fun that's going to be this year with all these good teams. I mean, we've got really kind of a real opportunity for maybe 6 or 7 or 8 teams to break through and maybe beat Kentucky or LSU or somebody. You know, those are the 2 top teams right now, I would guess. Florida's right there with Auburn and Mississippi State, and Mississippi's playing well. Georgia had a big upset win. You just never know. South Carolina was the hottest team going into this week's games, I think, in the conference. They were the hottest team in the conference before losing to Mississippi State the other night. So the tournament itself in Nashville will present quite an exciting array of basketball and teams that could win, and it's in the Bridgestone Arena. So QB, you know where that is, on right Broadway.
Yep, it's beautiful
in Nashville, right in the middle of all the fun. It is a great place to go to, folks. If you can make plans this late to get yourself up to Nashville for that March tournament, and I know it's late. But, man, don't pass up on it if you get the chance, because you will have a great time.
No doubt about it. Hey, Taylor, I want to go ahead and do the play of the day now. And today's play of the day, which was last night, is brought to you by the best restoration, whether flood, fire, or Mother Nature call, the masters of disaster today. And this is a game between Murray State and Eastern Illinois. And Murray State is a very good basketball program. They're up 21 points in the second half. Eastern Illinois makes a huge comeback and hits a buzzer beater to beat them.
Look at that.
you know, I love.
Panthers.
It's getting to that time of the year where there's a lot of buzzer beaters, you know, because you're getting to March Madness, and I just love it when teams like this come from 21 points down in the second half against a team that you should not beat, and they knock down almost a half court shot.
I love it.
Text here.
That was a home game for them.
From Daryl. Daryl's on the Titan MR text line, says, "Good morning, guys. Could you ask Batesy this morning, did he ever grow up thinking he would play for Tennessee, and was he surprised when Florida started recruiting him?" We will definitely ask him that, JC. You're in charge of remembering that question.
Okay.
But yes, he will be happy to answer that.
Yeah, I'm also going to ask him about. Well, we'll find out when we talk to him at 8:30. But his great artistic career has sprung over the last few years, and he's got a gallery. A gallery? I mean, so that means that you physically sat around and painted multiple pictures.
Oh, he's painted thousands of pictures.
Yeah.
He painted a picture of me about 5 or 6
which
years
is
ago.
one of my favorite. But maybe we'll have it up there if we could find it. But anyway, it was this gallery thing he had. I mean, you would have thought you were going to a Vincent Van Gogh.
It's a little bit different kind of art.
But I mean, with all the people that were showing up with their wine and their cheese and all the pictures on the wall, I can't wait to talk to him about that. But I'm also looking forward to this Kentucky game tomorrow night, QB, only because even though I know Florida is a heavy underdog, this is the kind of game where...
Are they a heavy underdog?
Well, 8 points, 9 points?
I have no idea.
All right, I'll find out. But I just say, what I'm saying is that this is the kind of game that, you know, you don't really have these high expectations of maybe winning, although... Look at what's happened in basketball this year. There are so many upsets. And so it is possible. Anything's possible. I'm not suggesting that they'll just roll into Rupp Arena and win. This is probably the best team in the SEC they're going to be playing. Without a doubt, they have the best record. We'll talk to our man here in a few minutes about that. But the line isn't out yet. So it typically will come out the day of the game, and that's tomorrow. So I'm excited about seeing what Florida can do, at least be competitive and be close. They played their best road game of the season in a loss, in my opinion, to LSU, and had every opportunity to force that game into overtime. It just ran out of time.
Well, it's going to be tough. Playing in Rupp Arena is not
is.
easy.
No.
They're extremely talented. They're long. They're athletic. They're quick. Things that we don't match up well against. We're going to have to shoot the ball well to be in this game.
Oh, without a doubt. And you know, this you know, when you go up there with nothing to lose, really, this is the kind of game that I think you have it's all upside. I mean, if you lose by 6, you lose by 5, you lose by 1 or 2, or you lose by 10, you know, it's pretty much the same. I just want Florida to represent well and play hard, and if they do that, I think the committee will look at that as a good opportunity to consider Florida as one of the higher seeds coming out of the SEC. We got to have 5 or 6 teams come out of this conference, and you know, I think we've got 4 now out of the ACC with the way NC State's playing specifically.
Well, they're going to have to win multiple more.
Well, they're going to have to beat FSU tomorrow night, NC State. But we had talked about in the ACC only 3 teams getting.
I still think the SEC gets more than the ACC.
Oh, I think so. I mean, I'm thinking about that.
Taylor, scroll down so I can see what the Facebook Live question says.
Live.
This is from Gene and Archer. He says, "Good to see you fellas. Always enjoy the JC sweatshirt collection. He seems to rep 3 to 5 different hockey teams. I guess when you follow so many teams, one of your teams is always in the playoffs."
Well, no, it's just that I go to a lot of games, Gene. While you sit around and watch me go to these games, I like to represent. I like to get stuff when I go to these arenas, and the Dallas Stars. I said Nashville and Dallas are 2 of my favorite cities.
JC is that guy when you go to like a concert or the fair, or you go to one of those travel centers on a cruise, or you know when you cross the Florida Georgia line on I-75 and you pull over to the Welcome Center. JC's that guy that goes in there and buys the Florida Welcome to the Sunshine State T-shirt.
Look,
He's guy.
I had a collection of wax figurines when you were on the Florida Turnpike back in the 70s, and the thing would go like this and make a dolphin or make a horse fit. What are those called? Seahorse, or make a dolphin was my favorite.
Don't you love to collect magnets?
And then those things would come out. Yeah, I'm a big magnet guy. You stick on the fridge. It says, you know, sunny Florida, Clearwater Beach, Orange Beach, Alabama. Come and say. So yeah, I like that kind of stuff. I mean, it just brings me back, right? And yeah, Gene, go Stars. The first place Dallas Stars in their division in the Western Conference Hockey. The Lightning, by the way, their winning streaks snapped in Vegas. That's a bad matchup for Tampa Bay because Vegas is so fast. And Vegas beat the Lightning last night 5-3. So Tampa's 11-game winning streak, for all you hockey fans, has come to an end. The other big story before we get to our break is the CBA, the collective bargaining agreement with the NFL, basically done almost. And now the players basically the player reps go back to their teams. They need 2/3 votes from the player reps. They go back to their teams. The teams then vote, and they need 32. The majority of 32 teams will vote. And when the players agree with it, the agreement will be ratified next week, and we're going to see probably more playoff games, more regular season games, maybe expanded rosters.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to take our first time out of the program. When we come back, we'll be talking Florida Gators, Kentucky Wildcat basketball. We'll be right back.
Time out! Time out! Hey! Time out! Time out! Time out! There we go. Good.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills.
Let's give them something to cheer for now.
Our Gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security, small enough to serve you, large enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Gators Dockside, wings, ribs, seafood, and beer. The best restoration, Masters of Disaster.
Bob in trouble, gets rid of it. Oh, big hit.
Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility.
Our touchdown sponsors are Radware Promotional Materials, Doreen Wiebe Realtor, Caldwell Banker MM Parish, Gator BTW, Campus USA Credit Union, Celebration Point Town Center, Miapa Latin Cafe, Davis Gainesville Chevrolet, Okita America Martial Arts and After School, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, The Keys Grill and Piano Bar, UF Mover Guys, The Digital Mortgage Guy, Adams Ribs, Cloud9 Spa, Wrap Spot, Cold Stone Creamery, Gator Dominoes.
If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, you can visit our website, potupwithshane.com, and click on the advertise button or call Freddie Wiebe at 352-284-3733.
Again, thank you for all the great businesses that support the show. Please remember, if you like what we are doing here, thank our sponsors and support the businesses that support us.
Looking, still looking. He's going for the end zone. He's got a touchdown.
Welcome back to Pot Up with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security
Yeah.
System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. John Cornell, Shane Matthews. Celebration Point is where the Gators come to celebrate with premium brands like Brass Pro Shop, Tommy Hilfiger, Hotel Indigo, Nike Medici's, Regal Cinemas, and coming soon, the HBC's new restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. We will see you at Celebration Point, where the Gators and JC go to celebrate.
Well, and I'm looking forward to seeing you, QB, at Visors.
You're dang right.
Yeah. What are you talking about? October, November for that? So
Yeah. Late October, early November.
All right. So the Gators should be 6-0 by then. Getting ready for the Georgia game, maybe. How about that? If they could open it up before the Georgia game, that would be great. Isn't the Georgia game in the first week of November this year? Or is it at the very end? I know it's always on my birthday weekend at the end of October. So,
Unfortunately,
yeah.
we're not going to have John Hale
John
from Kentucky. An emergency came up.
Yes,
We'll
he
get
did.
him
We just
on
called
later in the year.
but we'll get him maybe for the second Florida-Kentucky, the rematch, because they will be playing soon again.
The last game, regular season game.
Yeah,
here.
it's not far away. So we're getting close to March, folks. That's tournament basketball time. That's when it really starts to hit, and that's when we start seeing who's going to do what and who's not going to do what. But as I mentioned before the break, and we had talked about since the beginning of the show, and again, we'll have James Bates up here in about 15 minutes at 8:30. What I mentioned before the break was that this is the 40th anniversary of the Miracle on Ice, Lake Placid, the 4-3 win over the Russians, the pros losing to the amateurs. So we talked about that already. I also mentioned before the break that the collective bargaining agreement in the National Football League is being fast-tracked, it would seem. It took so long the last time they did it. They kind of molly-grubbed it around. These guys are already voting on it with the players. The owners have decided what they want. They're now sending it to the players. The players, 2/3 of the 32 votes from the players' reps will then take the vote, or to take the agreement, I should say, to the players. They will then decide on what to do. We heard Emmitt Smith yesterday. I want to get to this, but the baseball here in a second. But we heard Emmitt Smith yesterday on a show talk about Dak Prescott, and the question was, Dak, should he take less money? Should he sign? Should he hold out? What should he do? And Emmitt said, listen, he should take less money and share some of it to keep Amari. I think he wants $35 million a year, right? So Emmitt's suggesting maybe take 7 less to 28 so they can sign Amari Cooper and some of these other players. They've already signed. Jerry Jones signed La'el Collins, a huge offensive lineman, big money there. Jalen Smith, another linebacker, big money there. They paid Ezekiel Elliott, huge money as a running back. And what I think Emmitt forgets, folks, is that after 1993 when they won the Super Bowl, he held out. And he held out because he wanted to be the highest player in highest paid running back, in the NFL. Well, it turns out that he held out during training camp. He also missed the first 2 games of the next season. The Cowboys lost. Jerry stepped up and said, okay, Emmitt, what is it that's going to take? He got his deal. He got paid more than Thurman Thomas. He was the leading highest paid running back in the NFL, and he held out. But he's telling Dak to take less. So it almost seems somewhat disingenuous to me that he would say something like that because he didn't do that. He got what he wanted. Why would he suggest that Dak should do the same thing? Now, granted, this is coming off a Super Bowl win, right? It is a different situation, but Dak Prescott is the quarterback, not the running back. Dak Prescott has brought energy to the Dallas Cowboys. Dak Prescott has brought the Cowboys to the playoffs. He's done very well. His percentages, his numbers are fine. He wants to be paid. I don't think he's being realistic or reasonable in how much he wants to be paid, but I still think he wants to be one of the highest 5 paid quarterbacks in the NFL. Anyway, having said that, Jerry did not pay him last year. They did not get that deal done, and so now here the Cowboys are trying to figure out what to do with their quarterback. So, QB, should Dak Prescott take a little less money, as Emmitt suggests, even though Emmitt didn't do that, and help out the rest of his players? Because there's only one other player that I can think of that's actually done that, and that would be the Tom Brady. So what should Dak do?
Well, Dak needs to get what he deserves. I don't think he deserves to be one of the top 5 paid quarterbacks in the league. He's not even top 10 in my opinion.
Well, you're not going to tell him that. He's not going to believe that.
But maybe I wouldn't. But you try to tell me there's not 10 other quarterbacks you'd rather have before Dak Prescott?
I mean, that's subjective. So I guess the question is, I don't think he could be considered that or should be, but that's what he's gonna get paid one way or the other. Should he go for that, sit out and wait for that max deal, or should he take less to get Cooper signed and some of these other players that Dallas is going to need?
Well, I will say this.
It's
a tough situation.
They signed these other guys.
The whole Tom Brady, you can't compare him what Tom Brady did. Tom Brady
I'm not comparing it. I'm just saying Tom Brady's the only guy I can think of that took less.
But he did that late in his career.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He didn't do it after his first 4 or 5 years.
Good point. Very good point.
And but here's the other point to that is Dak can't be successful if he does not have Amari Cooper.
He needs him. Yeah. He needs
a couple other guys too.
Right. I mean, we saw what happened to Aaron Rodgers not this past year, the year before. They were horrible.
But again,
and they need players.
I'm on board with what Jerry. I don't know what Jerry and them are offering because I don't think he's a top 10 quarterback.
I think Dak should have taken what Jerry was offering at the beginning of the season, or at the beginning or middle of the season when it was almost as much money as he's hoping to get now. And now that the season's over and they didn't play or make the playoffs, I mean, they didn't even make the playoffs, QB. So Emmitt, I agree with Emmitt on one thing, is that, okay, he just got off winning a Super Bowl in 1993, and that's when he decided, I want to be the highest paid running back in the NFL. I totally get that, Emmitt. That's great. But what you did is different than what you're suggesting Dak to do. But maybe what Emmitt could say is, well, listen, Dak hadn't won no Super Bowl yet. So, okay.
Well, yeah. I mean,
yeah. So Dak should take less money so that they can get Cooper signed up and get some of these offensive players ready because he's going to need them if the Cowboys are going to challenge. And I think we're both in agreement with that. I guess is that it's going to be hard. You know what? You know what the Eagles could do to really put it to the Cowboys? They've got Alshon Jeffrey over here. They've got Jackson over here. They should go after Amari Cooper and pay Amari Cooper.
They might.
Jerry wouldn't like that, would he? So I think it's very interesting with Dallas and what they're going to do. And I kind of agree with what Emmitt is saying, but I don't think that Emmitt should tell somebody what exactly they should do if he didn't do it himself. But I do agree that in theory he's right. They need other players to help out Dak Prescott. So.
Well, I mean, I agree. I think you can
I don't know why
see
Dak,
both sides of the story.
I mean, Dak's going off numbers. He's going off his numbers, which were very good. I mean, you may say he's not a top 10 quarterback,
He's not.
But his yardage
yeah,
and
but
his
when
numbers
you
were
have,
spectacular.
You have to look at the entire body of work.
Yeah.
Why are those numbers like that? Because a lot of times you were behind and you were throwing it every down. You know.
Yeah, I'm sure they talk to him like that. And they tell him these things, and I get it. But I hope he signs with Dallas. He should be in Dallas. He should get a lot of money.
I mean, I
he's-
think Dak is a very good quarterback. I just don't think he's a top 10 NFL quarterback.
And I think he should take what they get. They will be fair with him. I really think so. But I don't think he's being reasonable when he sits around thinking I should get paid $35 million. Aaron Rodgers money, Tom Brady money. You know, the decision Belichick's going to have to make is, do I give Tom Brady Monday off? Do I give – because the typical off day in the NFL is Tuesday, right? So Tom Brady's telling Bill Belichick, listen, if you want me back in New England, and this is what I'm hearing, is that I want 2 days off. I want Monday off, and I want Tuesday off. Why does Tom Brady need to be with a team on Monday anyway? So give him Monday off, give him Tuesday off. Will Belichick do that, or will he tell him to go pound sand and I'm going to go sign, Teddy Bridgewater or Andy Dalton in New England? Remember, Brett Favre, the great Brett Favre, when he signed with the Jets, they gave him Monday off. That was part of the deal for coming to the Jets. Brett Favre wanted Mondays off, so he got Monday off and Tuesday off. Why can't the Patriots do that for Tom Brady? I bet you they do if they want to keep him. Otherwise, he's going to be in Oakland.
We shall see. Well, we're going to take
$30 million,
we're going to take our
$30
second
million
timeout.
each year to be in Oakland. The 2-year contract guaranteed to play in that new stadium with Oakland. John Gruden, I'm telling you, that's where Brady's going if Belichick doesn't give him that Monday off. Like you give me Wednesdays off sometimes.
Well, I honestly think Brady may want to move on just because he doesn't. Yeah, he doesn't. They don't have the players at New England to compete, man. I'm telling you.
Well,
I said it last year.
I know, but Tom Brady's got business in New York, man. He's got things to do. He's got to have Monday off. I'm telling you that.
Well, having Monday off is nothing. I used to.
It is something to Tom Brady. That's what he
That's
wants.
what I'm saying. It doesn't matter. I mean, I wasn't a starter, but Mike Mularkey, when I played for the Buffalo Bills for 2 years under him, I would fly back to Gainesville no matter where we played, whether it was a home game or away game, and I didn't have to be back until Wednesday morning for team meeting.
Then Tom Brady's getting Monday off. And,
that's nothing. I mean,
but
coaches,
Belichick doesn't
money you don't
do
even
that.
do anything.
Well, I get it, but But a lot of guys don't get Mondays off, man. They have to get that in their contract to get it.
No, you don't. You just ask the coach.
Well, but okay.
That's what I did.
Well, Brett Favre, one of the big deals for the Jets was that they were willing to give Brett Favre Mondays off.
Right. I mean, it's not what I'm saying. It's not a big deal. All you got to do is say, "Hey, look, I'm this far in my career. My family's there. I need Mondays off." Because Monday and Tuesday you do nothing pretty much. Right. Tuesdays are a day off.
Right.
Monday you come in and you watch the tape from the week before, and it's like a 2-hour meeting. So anyway, we're going to take our second timeout. Then we're going to be joined by James Bates. We'll be right back.
Time out! Hey, time out! Time out! Time out! There we go. Good.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills.
Let's give them something to cheer for now.
Our Gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security, small enough to serve you, large enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Gators Dockside, wings, ribs, seafood, and beer. The best restoration, masters of disaster.
Bob in trouble, gets over. Oh, big hit.
Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility.
Our touchdown sponsors are Radware Promotional Materials, Doreen Wiebe Realtor, Caldwell Banker MM Parish, Gator BTW, Campus USA Credit Union, Celebration Point Town Center, Miapa Latin Cafe, Davis Gainesville Chevrolet, Okita America Martial Arts and After School, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, The Keys Grill and Piano Bar, UF Mover Guys, The Digital Mortgage Guy, Adams Ribs, Cloud9 Spa, Wrap Spot, Cold Stone Creamery, Gator Dominoes.
If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, you can visit our website, potupwithshane.com. and click on the advertise button or call Freddie Wiebe at 352-284-3733.
Again, thank you for all the great businesses that support the show. Please remember, if you like what we are doing here, thank our sponsors and support the businesses that support us.
Looking, still looking. He's going for the end zone. He's got a touchdown.
Welcome back to Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. We're going to go straight to our Titan MRI hotline, and we're joined, Gator great, professor, artist, broadcaster, a man that
Coach
can do a lot of different things.
Coach Carrier.
And now he's a swim dad.
Swim dad.
Oh, James Bates joining us from Auburn, Alabama for the SEC swim meets. How you doing there, Batesy?
Yeah.
Good. We need to make this a yearly thing now, guys. I'll give you the update from the SEC championship meet. How's that?
That's great.
Our
Now,
correspondent.
Yeah, Bates, before we get into
great.
pretty much everything you do, let's jump right into it. Obviously, you and your wife, Tina, who is a swimmer here at Florida, y'all have to be so dang excited with your oldest daughter, Talia Bates, swimming for the Gators now, and she's doing phenomenal.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we're so proud of her. And you know what? All these swimmers, like you said, I met Tina. Gosh, I was on campus. You remember, like about a week or so, and we started dating. And I had never been around any swimmers prior to meeting her. And I found out in a hurry, though, just how hard they really work. I mean, without a doubt, it's the hardest working group of athletes on campus. And I've got so much respect for all of them. And I'm so proud of Thalia and all of her teammates. And right now, the men are crushing right now. As you know, everybody's kind of gotten used to that. They've just been dominating at the SEC tournament. But Kieran Smith, who's a sophomore, just broke an American record a couple days ago, an SEC record the other day. And he's just a sophomore. Yeah. And you know, and the girls are right behind Tennessee, so it's going to be an interesting next couple of days, that's for sure.
Bates, before we move on, I just picture you at these swim meets. Is the one dad sitting in the stands, getting the crowd going? Is that what you do?
Are you Mr. Two Bits?
You are Mr. Two Bits.
Are you Mr. Two Bits for the swim team? Come on, James. You got to be.
I can't help it. I get, you know, we were going because it's 9 sessions. It truly is a marathon. So it's prelims and finals every single day. And we drove up on the first day for the I guess it was Tuesday night. They had relays and diving, and I was getting all jazzed. And Tina's like, "You got to slow down. You got to slow down. This isn't a football game. You got to slow down." And I'm just now getting my voice back. And yeah, you know, but I will say this: there are a couple other dads who really set the tone. But I like to try to help them out a little bit. I'll put it that way.
I love dads who have daughters who compete in sports, because you go to whether it's volleyball, whether it is swimming, whether it is basketball, softball. It almost seems like, and especially ex-athletes like James, and of course yourself too, Shane, it almost seems like you care more about how your kids are certainly doing than anything you ever did. So it's even more stressful for a parent. Is that right?
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. Yeah, I mean, it's not even close.
Sure.
And you know, and then Talia, you know, it's just because they work so hard, and you want them to see success. And the nice thing about swimming is sometimes you can go in and you know, get a best time. I mean, it's hard enough to, you know, to go in and get a best time, drop your time because it's so fast. And she, against Auburn a couple of weeks ago, she dislocated 2 of her fingers. And so there were a few doctors that told her that she probably wouldn't swim at the SEC meet, and it just crushed her. And so she busted her butt to get back. So I can't help but just ooze with pride. And Shane, you know exactly what it's like, man. I get fired up and seeing who I feel like is a member of the family. I get fired up just seeing pictures of Luke Matthews in his Gator gear. So, you know what it's like.
No doubt about it. We're speaking with James Bates, former Gator number 44 for the national championship team in 1996. Bates, let's talk a little bit about you being an artist. We had someone text earlier wanting to know what got you into your paintings.
Well, I didn't take any art classes at UF, and really in high school or early on, I took one or two. My freshman year, but I feel like I probably should have taken art classes because I sat in class and just drew pictures all the time when, rather than paying attention, to be honest. And I roomed with Kresser, Eric Kresser. He was an art major, and he really has about as much to do with it as anybody, just to be an influence in my life that I can go create and do art on my own. Because shortly after we graduated, I was trying to get him to do a painting for me for Tina, for my wife, for Christmas, of the place in the Little Pigeon River up in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, where we got engaged. And I had this picture, and I gave it to him, and I gave him plenty of time. I'm like, "Hey man, you think you can do this for me? I'll pay you." He's like, "Yeah, I got it." And Christmas got closer and closer, and you know how Kresser is.
Yeah.
"Oh man, dude, I can't, dude. I'm busy now." And I'm not sure what he was doing, but what he did say was, he said, "You like to paint, you like to draw. I'll teach you how to build a canvas, and you can just come over to my place." He used to live over above that Hooters downtown Gainesville. And he said, "You can just come over to my place, and you can work on it there." And right about the same time, it was right after The Water Boy. And originally I was going to be a part of Any Given Sunday, that Al Pacino football movie. And we were living down in Miami for a couple months, and just walked into some of the art galleries down there as I was finishing up Tina's painting, and just some of these big pieces of art. I just wanted them in my house, but there's no way I could afford them. So I'm like, all right, well, this isn't going to be my last painting. I'm going to have to keep creating, because I want to have this energy in my house. And I just really haven't stopped since then. And I just feel so fortunate that I can do it kind of really as half of my profession is being an artist. I told my class not too long ago that I feel like I've got 3 dream jobs. I work as a broadcaster, as an artist, and as a professor. And if I had to give one away, I don't know. It would be a tough decision to give one up. I don't know what I'd do.
Well, Batesy, you bringing up being a professor. Let everyone know. A lot of people probably don't know that you teach at the University of Florida. When did that start, and how did it come about?
Well, Ted Spiker is the chair of the College of Journalism. And, let's see, however many years ago it was, I'm in my 7th semester now actually teaching. And he sent me an email and just, "Hey, we would like this, just gauge your interest and see if you'd maybe want to teach a play-by-play on-air talent class in the spring." And just reading that, I just got goosebumps, because I thought to myself, man, I've got, jack of all trades, master of none, maybe in the TV world, but I've done so many different things, like from studio to play-by-play to being an analyst, and and I've done a lot. And if I knew when I was in high school and I was being recruited, if I knew there was a class offered like the one that I was getting ready to teach, it would have made UF even that much more attractive. I mean, I love just being around these kids, and man, I to a fault at times, I admit it, but I love making them laugh. I love helping them learn, and they've all got such good juice, and it's not like it's an Algebra 2 class. I mean, they take the class because this is what they're interested in. Right. They take the class because they're motivated to begin with, and so we get in there and we have fun and we get better, and every now and then we'll get yelled at by the neighboring teacher because we're being too loud. And so, but it is so much fun. I'm so proud of that. And I hope that never stops. I'll do that till the end of time if I can.
Yeah, well, James, I always thought of you as a high energy guy, and certainly I liked watching some of your telecasts doing Mountain West football and covering some of those games. And it's certainly a separate thing from what you were used to in the SEC. And going back to the SEC, and some of the questions that we've had from our Titan MRI text line involve some of your playing days at Florida. And here is one that we got on the Titan MRI text line, and it was, could you please ask James if when growing up he would play for Tennessee, and was he surprised when Florida started recruiting him? That comes from Daryl in Green Cove Springs, because you were originally a Tennessee native.
That's right. Well, for a couple years anyway, and in response to that Titan MRI text line question, my Titan MRI text line answer would have to be, I just, that's all I ever wanted to do growing up was I wanted to be like Brian Bosworth of all people. I just wanted, my two heroes growing up were Axl Rose and Brian Bosworth, and I couldn't play a guitar or scream like Axl, and my dad wanted me to try to play quarterback when I was in junior high, and I just didn't want any part of it because when I was in junior high, we were in Arlington, Texas, and it was right around the same time as when Boz was doing his thing up the road in Norman, Oklahoma. And so that was just the coolest thing in the world to me. But I loved college football so much, and it fired me up so much growing up that actually I had Hail to the Victors I had that on my pregame mixtape in college because I just loved the pageantry of it all and just being a part of it. And I knew I wanted to play big time college football. And right about the time when I knew that I'd have a chance and that I'd start being recruited, and actually kind of interesting story. My junior year in high school at Sevier County High School up there in the same high school that Dolly Parton went to in East Tennessee, we played a playoff game against Knoxville Central, and their quarterback was Todd Helton. And they had a really good running back who I forget his name, but so there were a lot of scouts at this game or saw this game, and it was probably the best game that I had in high school. And so that was one of the reasons why I started getting recruited a little bit heavier going into my senior year. And so I knew that I'd have some choices, and it was right about the same time that Shane, you guys were just making Florida football the coolest thing in the world. And it was magical, and I just wanted a part of it. To be honest, I didn't even want to visit Tennessee, but my dad kind of wanted me to because, he went there, my mom went there and lived 15 minutes, 20 minutes down the road. And like, well, you need to take a visit down there. And so I took one, but I also went to Michigan, UCLA, and Texas. But shoot, I knew even before I got there, and especially when I sat down with Coach and when I was around everybody, Chris Bilkey was my host. And I told Coach that I wanted to be a Gator. And I'm sure that you guys have heard this, but just one more time on this Titan MRI text line, I can share this story.
I was going to ask you about this story. I love this story.
We're in Coach's office. It's me and Coach Collins, and I think Coach Zook was in there too, and in Coach Spurrier's office. And I said, well, Coach, I want to be a Gator. He goes, well, shoot, let's call your mom. Let's tell her. And he picks up his phone, and we dial it, call her up. And I told her I wanted to be a Gator, and that I told Coach that I had just committed and that I'm going to be a Gator. And she said, that's nice. I'll see you when you get home. And she hung up on me. Just hung up on me. So.
Well, Jay, come on. You were Rocky Top. That's where the family was from, and then you decided to go out and do your own thing, and that's what I love about it, because I went away to school. My family was all Florida Gators. So there you go.
Tell the story about what Coach Spurrier told the recruits about, I thought he said it to you or maybe somebody else about, people retire to come to Florida, that you can do it when you're 17, 18-year-old. Tell that story.
Oh, yeah. Well, and he didn't recruit many out-of-staters. It's like he had plenty of talent right there in Florida. And if you wanted to take that talent elsewhere, he'd tell you, shoot, that's all right. We'll win without you. And Tim Couch actually tells the story. I worked with him a few years in Atlanta, and that, he recruited him heavily, obviously. And it came down to Florida and Kentucky. And Tim said when he finally called Coach and said, hey, I'm going to go to Kentucky, there may or may not have been some guys helping him out there in the state of Kentucky, I'm guessing. And but Coach said, all right, that's fine, Tim. You'll never beat the Gators. You'll never be as good as you are if you come here. But good luck to you. He just can't help himself.
Well, you can't.
So, his big line for the out-of-staters was. He'd always say, yeah, shoot, you got all these people saving up their whole lives trying to turn 60 and retire and move down to Florida. And you got a chance to come down. You're 18. I just love it, and it's so true. I mean, I tell that to the swim coaches, and and I remind Tim Walton and all these people, although he recruits a lot of those Californians and stuff too. But it's so true.
Yeah.
Where do you go on spring break if you're in Ohio or Tennessee? You don't go to West Virginia.
Batesy, can you tell the story real quick? It's one of my favorites as well. When Coach and them had, I think it was Devin Bush on his recruiting visit, and they had the jersey hanging in his locker.
Yeah, Daryl Bush.
Yeah.
But there was a Devin too, though, right?
Yes.
There was
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, and so Daryl this was probably my redshirt freshman year, and when you host somebody on the recruiting trip, and I was hosting Daryl Bush. I hosted Daryl Bush, Peyton Manning, and Ernie Batto.
Oh.
I got Batto. I got 1 out of 3 at least. So Daryl comes around, and like I said earlier, that I just love the Boz, and so I had to wear 44, and it's almost embarrassing to admit how much it meant to me to wear that 44, because when I would get those media guides when I was being recruited, the first thing I would do is I would always flip. Okay, good. Fee Bartley's a senior. That means I have a chance of getting 44. I'm preaching to the choir. You and your number 9, Shane,
Mm-hmm.
You'll have to tell that Sonny Jurgensen story to these guys sometime.
Right.
And so anyway, so we go down, and Daryl Bush was he was an All-American linebacker at Lake Brantley High School. And when he came on his trip, we went out on Friday night. Saturday morning, we go down around through the locker room, and they've got all the jerseys, got it all shined up, not quite like they do now, but shined up pretty nice. And they've got all the kids, the recruits, their high school numbers on Gator jerseys with their name on a nameplate on the back. So it'll see like what it'll look like when they come to Florida, if they come to Florida. And so there's Daryl, who wore 44 as well. In my locker, it's 44 Bush. It's fine. That's the way it goes. But we're standing there looking at it, and Coach Spurrier walks up, and it's Daryl and his mom and dad and like a sibling. And Coach Spurrier walks up and says, "Well, looks pretty good, Daryl." And Daryl's mom says to him, she says, "Daryl's worn 44 his whole life, and he plans on wearing it in college." And at this point, I hadn't done a whole heck of a lot to say, this is my number and no one's going to get it. So I wasn't sure where this was about to head, as Spurrier looks at me and he goes, "Batesy, you wear 44, don't you?" And I was like, "Yes, sir." He goes, "You feel like giving it up?" And I was like, "No, sir." And he looks right in the eye and he goes, "Well, guess he won't be wearing 44 if he's a Gator."
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, not many coaches would say that.
No, they really wouldn't, would they? No. I mean, shoot, to the point to where a lot of them are probably the reason why you see so many dang numbers out there that are the same. Get 3 guys wearing the same number, and as broadcasters, it's giving you fits trying to figure out who's who sometimes.
No doubt. We're speaking with James Bates. Batesy, we got a text here on the Titan MRI text line, by the way.
Titan MRI text line.
It comes from Fred. Fred wants to know, what's your favorite Spurrier piece that you've done? I know you've done the ones where it's not your fault, it's my fault for putting you in the game. God smiled on the Gators.
We saw that.
You can be a Gator, you can drink a few beers, but you can't smoke pot. Which one's your favorite?
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I will say that to have my art on the cups in the swamp is just the coolest thing ever. So that's very cool. But to just like an original piece, if I had one that I could get back and hang it in my house, I would have.
It would be the one you did on me, right?
Oh, I hope we could find that one. Just keep trying, Taylor. I mean,
we're scrolling as we're talking. He's scrolling through
your gallery, James.
Oh man, what were you guys laughing at? I heard you giggling back there.
Because of these pictures. These pictures are ridiculously great. They're so good, and it's not just the pictures of the people. It's what you put on there. The words like it's not your fault. It's our fault for putting you in. And some of these great sayings that he came up with. Free Shoes University, whatever it was. And
right.
And there it is. There's
my
Shane.
picture
Look
right
at
there.
that big arm you got there.
That is
Shane.
a nice.
I love the eye black that he put on you there, and of course you got to have the rag around the belt buckle. So
yeah.
man.
Yeah. Well, that piece actually, it's funny that you bring that up because I'm sitting in a hotel room right now at a swim meet. I painted that piece. I can't sit still. So when I'm at these swim meets and we come back in between sessions and Tina takes a nap, I paint all the time. And I painted that piece when I was on the road in San Antonio at a swim meet of Shane.
That's awesome.
And it now hangs out at the Swanee Marina out there by Steinhatchee.
Well, I'm sure. Yeah.
But I can't leave Fred hanging on the Titan MRI text line. I would have to say that my favorite, I've got one that a guy in town, Blair Janes, bought from me, and it's a coach with his shirt off, and you know how he loved taking his shirt off, and even way back when he was on the exercise bike in Sports Illustrated, when in like the early '90s, and he's got his shirt off there, and he's just always there at South Carolina, and it's cool because it's got the lights all around it, and
we're looking at it right now, by the way.
And I do like the you can use you guys are using the F word too much, and occasional hell damn or shit's all right. Just don't use that F word. I painted that one, and that was a fun one too.
Batesy, before we let you go here, not only do you have your daughter Talia Bates swimming for the Gators, you got your youngest daughter Georgia Bates that'll be here next year. But your oldest son, Jake Bates, has fishing charters over in the Jacksonville area. You want to give a plug for Jake's fishing company?
Oh man, that's very nice of you. Shoot, man, before too long, I tell you what, if he keeps growing his fishing guide business, we're gonna try to buy out the Titan MRI text line, and it'll be the Muy Grande Fish text line. No, but thanks so much for bringing that up. Yeah, I'm so proud of Jake. That guy, he's followed his passion, and I mean that kid was truly born to fish, and he puts them on him over there. He goes to UNF. He's a junior now, and he's got it figured out somehow how to get B's and C's and still go fishing and catch big redfish every single day. So he's doing something right. But but his website is Muy Grande, like really big in Spanish, muygrandefish.com.
Hey,
if you want to go over there.
Yeah, and before we let you go, obviously you're not doing paintings. You do T-shirts, buttons. You got your Be Less Sucky Today shirts. Let everyone know where they can check all that stuff out and how they can order it.
And buckle up. Don't forget about buckle up your shit.
Well, you know what? I was going to wear that shirt today, but it's cold here in Gainesville. Yeah. I'll wear it next week. That's my favorite T-shirt you ever made.
I didn't know you got that from him. Is that where you got it?
That's his. Oh, buckle up your shit.
Oh,
come on, JC. You think you got that?
I got to get a catalog. I got to go online. I'm going to start buying.
I don't think he has catalogs, but
he
you can
doesn't
go
have a catalog?
online.
Okay, I'll go online.
So let everybody know where you can get their
catalogs. Yeah.
Well, the catalogs are being sent out in March.
You and the Sears catalog. I love it.
Freaking catalog.
Catalog. Well, that's. I mean, okay. So we'll go online and pull something down.
Please don't flip to the girls' underwear section immediately. Oh no, but it's my website is Batesy Paint B the number 8 SY, so it kind of reads like Batesy Paint.com, and I'm gonna have a couple pop-ups right around the spring game. I'm gonna have one at Swamp Head Brewery the night before the spring game, and then at the spring game I'm gonna have one at the Alumni Association, Emerson Hall, right across the street.
Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, we're there.
Well, Batesy, we really appreciate you joining the program today, man. I want you to yell loud today for the Gator swim team. Send pictures. I want you to
let them know who you are.
Paint your chest and put Talia all over it. Go Talia, go.
I actually, this is true. I woke up early this morning and I was so excited I couldn't go back to sleep, and so I was looking up Auburn, Alabama Walmarts because I was going to go get a sheet, a bed sheet, and a spray paint can, and I was going to do a small Workham Silly Gators.
Workham Silly Gators at the swim meet, man. That would
be.
Oh, that'll be on ESPN News for sure. There's no question.
Oh.
Or you.
Well, hey, let me get back to licking some of these stamps so I can get these catalogs out.
Yeah, get me a catalog. I'm ready to buy. I'm ready to buy, James.
All right, Batesy, appreciate it, my man.
Hey,
enjoy your
trip.
trip.
Have me on, guys. You guys have a good day.
That's the one and the only James Bates.
Oh my God! I mean, I could just imagine him at the swim meet.
Can you imagine him taking a class for that guy?
Oh,
Yeah, he teaches a class.
He'll keep people awake.
Yeah.
There's nobody falling asleep or going on their phones in that class, right?
No.
So, oh man, we love James, and he was the coach. He was the guy that carried the coach off the field. He was the carry.
We didn't have enough time with him. We're definitely going to have him back. He's got so many stories.
Back. Oh my goodness, yeah, and he has chronicled. He's got Spurrier stories chronicled online. You can go. So yeah, we'll go back.
Yeah. So anyway, what a great show we had today, and that's a wrap, JC,
Oh.
for the week.
Just like that.
And today's show's a wrap brought to you by WrapSpot. A vehicle wrap from WrapSpot will give your business years of brand recognition and increased sales. Call WrapSpot today. We'll see you next
Have a great
week.
weekend. Go Gators.